Let me start off by saying I'm going to share with you a few narratives about myself. And the first of these narratives, and each one of these narratives is supposed to have a particular meaning. The first one is locate yourself. You need, as a person, to locate yourself. Omang, I get it. I always tell the story of how one time when I was still in varsity, I'm in New York, and I'm trying on jeans, so I'm south of Houston. And as I'm trying on jeans, this African-American woman who's supposed to be helping me with these jeans, I've always struggled with weight. And a lot of big people, you know, we all suffer from this disease. Gini is size 10, but you know you're a size 14, right? But you want to fit into that pair of jeans, a size 10, right? So what out of this woman, when she's going back and forth, you know what, I never seen me a black Chinese who's gonna make me work so hard. Come see this black Chinese. And I was like, wait a minute, is she talking about me? And as I've grown up, I've needed to locate myself. So that whole Chinese identity is also a part of the quagmire of who I am as a person. And by so saying, let me start off by saying, a lot of the time as you grow older, you know, I used to be one of these young people who was always, as the SRC vice president was talking about how she is the first female, I was always one of those young people who was quite active growing up. So in my mind, the young person. And as I'm getting older, I'm beginning to be reminded of the fact that I actually no longer fit in that category of youth. The other day, Jeff, who's my videographer, and I spent a whole lot of time with him, he's saying to me, we're going through some content, and I say to him, no, I've gained too much weight, you know, we can't use that clip. And he's like, you know, I'm like, yeah, so I also needed to kind of locate myself. And so throughout my sharing with you, the narrative is going to be around locate yourself. Locate yourself in the story of who you are and the place that you hold in the puzzle and the jigsaw puzzle that is this country. I would like to start off by pointing out the fact that I don't find anything wrong with political activism. I don't. There's nothing wrong with political activism. But as I locate myself, as I've gotten to know myself better, I realize that now I am not a political activist. I'm a social constructivist. That is what I am. So you need to locate yourself, define yourself, because you will get a lot of temptation along the way. You will get a lot of people who will come and try and define you for yourself. So we're in a situation where maybe you're in the midst of a political environment, and as the politicians become politicians, you realize when you're head deep, or you're not a politician. So as you choose, you know, so Lumumba, choose thee well. If there's anything that you're going to take away from this conversation, is as I go into what I'm about to share with you, I want you to look up, to start off with, look up a place called the Creative Council. Please write it down, the Creative Council. And council, what thing? It's COUNSEL. The Creative Council. The Creative Council is an advertising agency in Melrose, Johannesburg, in South Africa, started by two guys. One is called Jill Ovid, Gilloved. I liked it, Mr. Nakafela, when you were sharing the anecdote about, you know, that there's a difference between people just having ideas, and there's a difference between people that also make ideas happen. Now, the Creative Council for me, it's my latest rage, because it's an idea factory started by two South Africans with the full intent of ensuring that everything that they do, from the recruitment of the people that work for them, oscillates around doing. And a huge part of my ethos, a huge part of what I'm about is doing. So I'm a bit disorganized, if you will, with disorder. I don't understand people who come late. I don't. But it happens, you know. But at the end of the day, the people that will contribute to our society are those people who are also audacious enough to not only whisper truth to authority, but to also shout it off the rooftops if need be. But guess what? For you to be able to have that crucial choice, you need to make sure that you are that good. To the extent that if anyone is to decide that, you know what, Matlhogonolo Mponang, like everything else, we can dispense of her. I get in nobody is indispensable. You should be so good at whatever it is that you are an entrepreneur in, Ms. Nana Gafela, to the extent that it does not matter who gives you a tender or not, because your ideas are not localized within the parameters of this country. I love speaking. I get allocated myself. So I speak internationally for a living. So it does not matter who thinks what of an idea that I've posted on Facebook. It does not matter who's listening to me on my cell phone. I do not care, because I'm busy doing what I love doing. And I'm not just looking at what I'm doing within the parameters of this country. Cling, cling, freedom. Locate yourself. Because a lot of people are also silenced from being themselves, from blossoming, because a lot of the time there's a great degree of worry, going back to what the young man said, over what about the. It's gotten to a point where I have said to some people that I know, you know, Todd Gallantine said that it used to be about a choice between liberty and freedom. You know, nowadays people are like, you know what, you can make me a slave, just tell me how much you can pay me for me to be a slave. So you need to locate yourself within that miasma. You need to locate yourself within that narrative. And on that note, I want to share some thoughts with you that are my opinion. People like to say, in my humble opinion, there's nothing humble about an opinion. It's your opinion, you know, own it and understand that having an opinion has got repercussions and that it's a very arrogant thing to actually have an opinion. So in my very non-humble opinion, these are my thoughts. One of the things that I've always argued about, and by the way, to qualify that, I'm not saying I'm not humble. I'm saying these opinions are not necessarily humble. Anyway, I've always argued, and you know, me and my set of friends, we like to sit around and, you know, drink copious amounts of liquor and argue about different things. And I don't know if you know, apparently today in Kenya, Riley Odinga was being inaugurated. And that speaks to the narrative of who we are as Africans. But it's only on the continent, ironically. The continent that has been given many names by different people who supposedly had the free world, that you can find that situation happening. And it's also in other parts of the world where the countries are deemed or called developing countries that you can see such happen. And I want to challenge you to say, let us change the narrative, because Botswana, one would say that these are things that we take for granted because, we know what is just going to happen, that people should leave and others should come in. But the thing, though, about power, and there's this very interesting and amazing eulogy that an American author and orator called Richard Ingersoll wrote about Abraham Lincoln. And he says the most telling thing about who an individual is try to give that person a little bit of power. Power will show you who people are. It strips people of all the pretense. Power is literally like that chick that you met at the nightclub yesterday and she's got makeup on fleek, the weave is on point, the nails are on fire, she's dancing, she's wearing the tight clothes. And then, the next morning you kind of wake up to the reality of who she really is. The thing with power is that I always say power is seeing a woman without makeup on. When you give someone power, you will see that person for who they really are. And the thing about it, though, guys, and I say this all the time, is you've got to ask yourself, why is it that the people that are having an opinion about creating interplanetary economies are white men? Why is it that Elon Musk, through SpaceX, take down Elon Musk but I'm sure all of you must know Elon Musk. Because if you do not, that's the epitome of ignorance. I'm sorry. But Elon Musk, ELON MUSK, SpaceX, this guy is now talking and visualizing and building rockets. But these rockets are non-disposable rockets. They're now having this conversation of leaving Earth, going to Mars, and in 26 months, when there's an orbit, coming back to Earth, picking more people, and going back to Mars. It is important for you, Ole Motswana, to understand this, because they're now talking about building colonies of over 1 million people who are going to be living on Mars. So you're now talking about interplanetary economies. I get it? As diamond producers, I will have you know that artificial diamonds is the next big thing. Because in order for you to build these other environments in the interplanetary space, you need artificial diamonds for production purposes. So these cats are having these conversations. So as my friends and I are having, we get into more of a drunken stupor, we ask ourselves, what can't be Elon Musk? Is he a visionary or is he a construct of an individual who has access to huge amounts of capital? So those are the conversations that now we're having. And then you listen to someone like Jack Ma. And Jack Ma, yesterday at the World Economic Forum, he's like telling the world, well, you know what? Right now, we're seeing the onset of the third technological revolution. This cat is on the first technological revolution started the First World War. The second technological revolution started the Second World War. What is going to happen with this third technological revolution? And bear in mind that when he's talking about the danger around the third technological revolution, he's saying we should not be going to war with each other as human beings. We should be thinking about now, not only talking about IQ, which is an intelligence quotient, or even talking about EQ, which is an emotional quotient. This cat is talking about a love quotient. So you're sitting there, you're like, okay, go to Jack Ma. This is how he was able to build Alibaba. This guy is now just waltzing in there and coming up with another quotient, and I'm sure lots of consultants are going to make money. You get to ask yourself, and you really get to understand this is how visionaries in the world are thinking. Because guess what? Elon Musk cannot be that different from us. He also had South Africa, and then he went to the US. And then you find people like Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos, unlike my sisters who will go, you spend capital, you go to China, or Thailand. You go and buy those clothes. And then when you come back, you open a shop, your cost overheads are, but you're like, why don't you just do it online? Why don't you open an online boutique? Why do you need to occupy space and make yet another, the actual ethnicity, but I can't, yet another person from another Asian country wealthy by renting space in the many malls that they seem to have somehow miraculously acquired while our parents were asleep? Why? Why do you want to do that to yourself? Why is it that December we get into this position where we actually go Rabo Debe, spending money we don't have, Rabo Cape Town, running all over the place, taking pictures on Instagram, just doing all kinds of ridiculous Negro type BS. And then coming back. And I say to people all the time, I'm convinced that black people love fried chicken more than they do freedom. Because it does not make sense. Makwa are sitting back. When Makwa are vacationing? Wealthy people, when they vacation? Right now. And when they buy the tickets to vacation next year right now? They buy those tickets right now when nobody's buying it. Why is it so difficult for us to just get some of these simple, obvious things? And it's the same thing as when people talk about e-commerce. And yet, when Jack Ma was talking about the third technological revolution, he's really talking about the fourth industrial revolution. And with the fourth industrial revolution, those that say, let me tell you something, if you're waiting here for somebody to give you employment, the rest of the world is talking about the fact that artificial intelligence will ensure that these jobs get far less and far less. So it's not going to get better if we do not change our behavior. It's just going to get worse. And when he was talking about, Jack Ma, the third technological revolution, he's really talking about the fourth industrial revolution and how we need to start even changing the way that we educate ourselves and the way that we educate our kids. My boss is not here because guess what? These degrees that are being churned out like popcorn will not get you through what is about to happen in this world. Some of these things I always say is the truth that is hidden in plain sight. And you look at Umbeno, as somebody was saying one time, it's ridiculous that in a population of 2 million people, there is so much unemployment. It's ridiculous. But it's because somebody is thinking about employment. Nobody is thinking about the exploitation of labor. Why aren't we having conversations with other countries? I don't want to use Rwanda because I'm huge on Rwanda and it's becoming a bit of a cliche. But other countries outside in the world where the skills that are being produced by this university are needed. And it needs to be a conversation that is inter-country. It needs to be a conversation that one government is having with another government. Why isn't that happening? Because you can literally employ through real research every single young Botswana who wants a job. You just have to tell them, well, yeah, you can get a job. You can get a job doing this, but it might not be in Botswana. That is the reality. So you need as well, as you begin to move in your world, to understand how did Jeff Bezos get to the point of coming up with Amazon? Because, just with Amazon, it's so brilliant. Literally, the guy, he's taken companies like Barnes & Noble, which was like a library, he's taken that out of business because he's like, I'll make it easy for you, whatever it is you want in the world, wherever you are in the world. You can have whatever it is you want from the world at your doorstep. Amen. Ya no ke na le go ipotsa gore ka ntse nna thaba ntse ke ne re sa akanya tsone dilo tsone. Ne re le kae, ba bana? Mo so rona Batswana, because nna ke Motswana ke batla go buela lehatshe la rona. You then have to ask yourself as well why it is that, and I am no way, shape, or form endorsing corruption. I'm not. But Indians, as an example, because I'm paying them a compliment, I can say them by name. Kling kling. Indians, as an example, work together. An Indian does not need to know the next Indian to work with that Indian. Indians, you know how few Indians live on the Gulf Estate. Do you know why I, for instance, support Pakalani as an idea? You know, don't let's not get it twisted. I'm never going to live there, but I love the idea because Motswana came up with Pakalani, and you know, if you spend time with Ramagang and if you read Dibuka Tsa Ramagang, he came up with so much backlash from his own country people. Just hella for Pakalani. Do you know how much land Jamal owns in this town? Who's opposing Jamal right now? Are roads not being built? With the properties of Jamal, who's building those roads? One can ask. Again, I'm not trying to insinuate or make you guys rise up, but you know how Jamal got here? Do you know how Bajak Dish got here? Do you know how all these Indians got here? Do you know how all these Chinese people get here? When you go into a Chinese store, do you ever see a Motswana? Answer no. You see a Chinese. How's in an Indian store? Do you see like people that are managing Exco, yeah, Indian-owned companies? Indians. Rona Batswana. We can't. What le motshelwa hela wa pa. Ka December wa loa banyana ba rogana mo Facebook. They're like, you can't even get it together hela for motshelwa. Stock fair. Yeah. They're like, how are you going to run countries? Because there are women and men that are running countries. And this is the sad reality. My friends tell me all the time that I'm freaking stupid. Why are you running a coaching and mentoring program? Why isn't BAC, blah, blah, fish-based? All kinds of things. Why do you spend time with all these young people? Why are you spending your money doing what? You know? And I'm like, but guys, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Because at the end of the day, to quote the Bible, he or she who has been given much, from that person much is expected, you know. And I could sit here, I could stand here rather, and talk about my different ideas, and really, in a sense, you know, challenge ourselves as well. Even on social media, stop acting like fools on social media. It's unimportant. What if it's not going to improve on the silence? If it's not true? Why do you even want to repeat it? If the man wants to buy a freaking ugly Louis Vuitton case for 47,000, let him spend his money. If the man wants to do that, what if the man is in that headspace where it makes sense for him to buy that ugly looking cake for 47,000? Let him spend his money. Why is it a topical discussion when there is so much that is going on in the world? Why aren't we researching how did Jack Ma get to build Alibaba? Right now, at Davos, guys, the person who is the architect of fiscal policy, China, how they came up with the economic framework at China, was actually on the world stage speaking at the World Economic Forum. Batswana Bagai. Why aren't we getting invited to Davos? And I don't want to believe that none of you can ever stand on that stage because you're no less intelligent than anyone else. But it's a question of, have you located yourself? Locate yourselves. Thank you.